Here's an instance where not just common sense, but the ability to protect yourself is called into question. We have an instance of a woman who is in Illinois driving with her significant other from their town down to Chicago. Stops at a light. Some gangbanger or whatever comes out of the woodwork, fires a shot into the car, shoots her significant other in the head, killing him. She pulls out a gun, legally owned gun, and fires warning shots. The police show up, and you would think that they would try to comfort her. Nope. Arrest her for firing warning shots in the air. Here's the story, and all I have to say is, if this was a white woman that this happened to, number one, she would have been comforted. Number two, never arrested. Number three, charges never brought against her. But we had the same thing with Miss Alexander down in Florida, in a state that has stand your ground, but stand your ground didn't work for her, even when she was defending herself against her ex-husband.
Folks, a stunning story out of Chicago. A 26-year-old woman facing felony charges for using a gun to fire warning shots into the air. This after witnessing the death of her fiance over Memorial Day weekend. Ashley Harrison and the father of her two children, Garvin Whitmore, were headed from their suburban home in Aurora to Chicago to pick up Harrison's aunt. When they stopped at a traffic light, an unidentified man with a gun walked up to the car and shot Whitmore in the head. Harrison immediately reached for a handgun and fired warning shots in the air to scare off the assailant. As the gunman fled, Harris held her dying fiancé until help arrived. But it was too late. Whitmore died at the scene. Harrison was held on a $250,000 bond and charged with reckless discharge of a firearm and aggravated unlawful use of a weapon. She is currently on house arrest and will be under 24-hour surveillance. She is expected to return to court tomorrow. What the hell is wrong with the folks in Chicago charging this woman?
Well, we already learned with Marissa Alexander that black women are not really able to defend themselves with firearms. You'll notice the NRA was, of course, silent during this. Normally there would be some sort of, wow, she should be able to defend herself, she should be able to use a firearm, etc. When it's George Zimmerman, it's okay. When it's this woman, there's a problem.
The dude walks up, shoots a fiance in the head, well, she's sitting in the car.
But you see, you saw all the organizations trying to get out there and get ahead of violence in Chicago. The idea, there were 68 people shot over Memorial Day weekend. I think some of this is political. They're trying to send a message. What they may be trying to do is say, we're not going to have vigilante justice. Of course they can't justify it. But it's the politics. Exactly right. What we don't want you all to do is start shooting each other in self-defense. And you're absolutely right. To put a black woman in that position. Now, if that were a white woman, she would be a hero.
Give me a folk hero by now.
That's the definition.
Exactly right.
I'm a lawyer of self-preservation and self-defense. Your fiance has been shot. God bless his soul and that situation in front of you, and you're fearful for your life, and you pull out a gun and shoot. That's just classic. And the fact that they would charge her when you have almost 70 people shot over Memorial Day weekend in Chicago, and that's the focus of your law enforcement, to arrest a woman like this?
Isn't it interesting that she shot in the air? She feared for her life and shot in the air. Now, why can't law enforcement do
that? Now, she could have shot at the assailant, but what happens is, look, understanding you could have hit somebody, it wasn't your intention, but she fires in the air and you arrest her. Here's a woman who goes through a traumatic experience, holding her dying fiance. He dies in her arms, yet she goes to jail.
Right, and I'm assuming the reason she did that, imagine if she didn't have the gun, she probably would have been shot as well. So I think it's ridiculous that, in America, you cannot have the right and the ability to defend yourself.
No, but where in the hell, as Laura said, where's the NRA?
Is rolling?
Where's Wayne LaPierre defending this black woman?
I'm not
No, I'm not saying no, but my point is but it's just like I asked the question yesterday in North Carolina, where were the LGBT activists standing with the folks fighting for the HBCUs? When the black folks were sitting there fighting with them against the transgender bill, and a brother who said, hey, I'm with the HBCU initiative with HRC. I said, no, the president of HRC, Human Rights Campaign, was down in North Carolina. Just so same thing, the LGBT folks, when black folks on their side, staying with black folks fighting for HBCUs, NRA should be saying, since they believe in God,
I agree.
and believe in the Second Amendment, they should be saying, we're going to fund her law.
I'm not disagreeing.
Watch, if he has presence of mind, how quickly does Donald Trump jump on this and turn it into a conversation about black
Well, he ain't
criminality?
that smart.
I mean, but think about it.
Not smart.
Why was she shooting?
You know, I can't remember a time when the NRA has jumped on the side of somebody who's African American in this situation.
Right.
And there's been a few cases like this.
The only time they jumped on the side of somebody black was the brother who sued the city of Chicago against their handgun bill. They went all the way to the Supreme Court. Okay, that's the only time. But
a self-defense.
Right, but when that's the case, like there was some gun folks.
Because Marissa Alexander, that should have been an equal.
Oh, absolutely. There were some gun folks who were behind the brother who got shot at the Walmart, Beaver Creek, Ohio, John Crawford. There was some who stood with him. But did Wayne LaPierre and the National NRA stand up?
Right.
No. They didn't.
It's a classic Second Amendment case. I mean, it's self-defense, and she had the permit, and so, like, yeah, this is Second Amendment.
All right, so we come back 1 second.
All right, so NRA, where are you? You want to jump up and down about the right to bear arms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this is an easy one for you if you want to show how even-handed you are.